girls abused. I won't give up or refuse. This is how it feels when you're bent and broken. This is how it feels when your dignity's stolen and everything you love is leaving. You hold on to what you believe in.
Host of the Artist Spotlight. Stoked to be back with some, they're not my friends because they don't know me that well, but I like to think of them as friends anyway. John, Korey, Skillet, guys, how we doing?
Good, how's it going?
Great. It is going great. Good to see you guys. Kind of a, I don't know, 2-week tour that you've kind of, 2-3 week tour you've kind of meshed in between other tours. And what's different on this one?
A busy, just a couple of years.
Yeah.
But we're having a great time, you know, we're out with our friends third day. Funny enough, we've known them for about 16 years and never toured together, which is bizarre.
Right.
So we're finally doing a tour together, and it's going so good, man.
Good. It's a little different. Obviously, you guys are a little heavier. They're a little lighter. So it's a little bit different. I'm sure if somebody's just a third day fan, they show up and Skillet comes out and hits Monster or something, there might be a few faces going.
We do scare some people on this tour, that's for sure.
I believe it.
That is the goal.
There's some older fans out there that are maybe a little too old for the Skillets. But
the funny thing about you guys too is, and this irks me about Christian radio, is that they don't play a lot of your heavy stuff. And so, you know, they like the softer stuff. It appeals to this wide fan base or whatever. I don't know what I don't know what the reasoning is. It's good for you guys because you get both that market and the secular market with your heavier stuff. But if you're doing a Christian show or a show that is, you know, more marketed toward Christians, when they show up and they expect, you know, Lucy or something to come on, it's a little different.
You know, it's its own thing. Christian music has always been very much a life of its own outside of popular music, you know. And you kind of just got to learn how to navigate both of the worlds. We are by no means the most played band in Christian radio. You know, we do okay, but we are, as you say, we are very aggressive for that format. But we have a lot of Christian music fans.
Sure.
So, you know, maybe they listen to a lot of the other bands we play with, but they like Skillet. So this is a great chance. It is different. Us and Third Day have a very different audience, but we're similar enough that both fans want to come, you know? So that's, I think, why the tour is going so good. So I think that's the premise behind it. You get two things that are very different, bring them together, and maybe both of the fans show up and have a good night and something for everybody. But certainly there are people coming that we might be a little bit much for, and, you know, vice versa. So.
I don't think anybody leaves this show that you guys have done and hasn't had fun. The last time I saw you guys was at Rocklahoma, and, I mean, that's a 3-day show with big acts all across the board, and there was nobody more fun to watch than watch your guys' set.
Well, thank you so much.
It's just, it's an entertainment value that I don't think you get from a lot of the, I call them cookie cutter rock acts that they put out. You know, they put out their song that sounds like everybody else's song, and you guys are no stranger to be able to write hits, that's for sure. I feel like you've got like some kind of hit factory somewhere that you stowed away, and they just come out and you say, oh yeah, we'll take this hit, and that'll be. But it's got to be nice to be able to know that you're going to be able to put a song on the radio pretty much as soon as the album goes out. That's going to be really comforting as opposed to trying to have to work for it.
Well, that's very nice. I honestly, and Korey can attest to this because we're married and she has to unfortunately live with me. I'm sorry.
It's not unfortunate.
But she will attest to the fact that, you know, we don't feel like that. It always feels like a lot of work because Skillet has always been a little bit off, you know, off of center of what's popular. You know, as you say, it's good not to be cookie cutter, but sometimes cookie cutter is going to get played more than something that's a little different. Now Skillet is beginning to be known, and people think it's really cool that we have girls in the band. They think it's really cool that we have orchestras in our music, and that we're a hard rock band, but it's also very melodic, and the songs are structured kind of like pop songs, you know. That used to hurt us really, really bad. You know, because
back when your hair looked more like her hair looks now.
That's right. Yes. You know, rock music was very much a man's world. They didn't really want, you know, I think they saw us. Somebody did a review of a show of ours a few years ago. We were opening for 3 Days Grace. And they were like, oh, the show was great. There was this band come out called Skillet, and never seen them before. And they had 2 girls in the band, and the singer looked like he should be in the Backstreet Boys, not a hard rock band. Yeah, and you know, but then he said, but you know what? They got to play him, and I ended up loving their show and became a fan. So there's a little bit of that. This isn't really a rock band, you know, because we are very symphonic. But now those things are really working for us, and we have something that's unique about us. And I think the fact that we've stayed true to who we are is finally working. The fans like it. I'm happy. You're happy because I don't stress out.
totally never stresses, you know.
Well, let's move on.
Yeah, I know.
Next
It'd be
question.
fun to get Corey's opinion because I haven't heard from
You
her
want me to
before.
leave?
So no, I know that you're a strong personality, let's say.
I am.
But Corey's take on you might be vastly different than what we see from you in some interviews.
Could be, absolutely. She knows me well.
Not Gonna Die and Circus for a Psycho, I think those are two songs that I find most attractive on your newest album. What was the thought process behind what you were doing with this album? What were you guys going for that may have strayed or been different from your last albums?
You know, I think we always want to try something new, you know, not just keep making the same record. Sometimes that works, and sometimes it goes really, really bad. But, you know, Circus for a Psycho is different for us. It's very...
So what went bad? I'm going to cut you off. What's a song that you look back on that made an album? Give me a song that made an album that you're like, oh, we're not playing that live.
Let's see. On the last record, which was called Awake, we had a song called Should've When You Could've. It was very poppy and kind of silly and supposed to be kind of funny. I'm not saying it went really, really bad, but I think Skillet fans would kind of like to pretend we're not on the record, you know? So it's yet to be seen what's on Rise that may have... There's some very different stuff like My Religion on this record is very different for us. It's kind of... more like swing. It's kind of like a swing kind of shuffle to it, you know. A little like old STP maybe. It's kind of grungy.
Sure. Scott drinking or Scott not drinking?
I think drinking.
I've never met Scott when he wasn't drinking.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I didn't want to say that, but I'm not really sure. Anyway.
I know you don't bust anybody. You guys are really good about you don't bust.
And made some great. They made some great records.
Yes.
Core was absolutely awesome.
Yes.
So anyway, the Circus for a Psycho has a little bit of that throwback feel. So it's more like throwback classic rock. There's a little bit of that kind of a stripped down stuff on this record that I thought would be kind of fun to do because we've never done it before. You got to make your fans happy, and that's what Not Gonna Die, I think, is. Not Gonna Die sounds like Skillet to me. And that was the first song I wrote for the record, actually. You know, I wrote it, I thought, this is what we do. It's got a very kind of epic feel to it, and it's a slightly progressive, extremely dynamic. It feels like Meatloaf if he were a metal artist, you know? And that's kind of what I say Skillet kind of sounds like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, I like to throw a couple curves at you in the interview.
You did.
Just to see
You did. Sometimes you throw in stock answers too. So I gotta be careful you're not giving me any of
Stock
those.
answer. Well, that's not a stock
That's
answer.
not a stock
That's
answer.
Meatloaf
Of course,
if you
I'm
were a metal
not
artist.
throwing you softballs either, or annoyance questions like what's your band name, what's your inspiration, who do you like to tour with. Try to stay away from those.
You're giving me the fastballs down the middle. I'm just knocking them out of the park, man.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to find a fit, and you guys have gone through some changes.
It's hard work, you know. The reason it's so hard finding a fit is because there are tons of great guitar players out there. You know what I mean?
Sure.
There are tons of great drummers and everybody else. The hard thing is finding somebody that you get on with really well.
Right.
You know? And somebody that kind of gets what you're about. I get what you're about. We're in agreement. And not only that, you know, I've got my wife on the road. We've got our kids on the road.
I assume you guys probably have your own bus, I would think.
We have a bus that we share with our drummer and our nanny and our kids.
Gotcha.
Are on it. So,
yeah.
but there are those things that I need to feel comfortable with you around my kids. When I'm not around, you got to be comfortable being around kids.
It's difficult.
It's very hard finding a player, and our guitar player Seth is absolutely awesome. He's a shredder, which I love.
He's good.
And he's a great guitar player. He's a great guy.
It was funny though because I thought he looked a little uncomfortable in his third show.
He was probably scared to death.
He was.
Much different tonight. So
Yes, 3 years in, you get used to it.
Korey, I love your presence on stage, and it is different having a female as a guitarist, but I don't know what you do with your legs, but it seems like you're always in rhythm with what you're doing, and it looks sick. I don't know if it's your lighting schemes or what's going on, but is there some secret behind your yeah, it's kind of like a shuffle.
I'm like a feel person, so when I write, it's, you know, very feeling. When I'm on stage, it's just, I know that I have to perform well. I know I have to go extra crazy, so then I just kind of feel what's happening. I'm like, oh, I like that move. Maybe I'll stick with that
I call
one.
it the rock star strut. I said you're doing your little strut on stage tonight.
Yeah.
I would say there's Angus Young, Hendrix, and then Korey.
Oh.
In stage presence.
Such an honor for...
All right, I'm just going to say you're not as good of a guitar player as Jimi Hendrix.
Thanks.
But in terms of stage presence, those are the three
Wow.
for me.
I wonder why.
And she's prettier than both of them.
She's very good. And I'm going to leave your opinion on the prettiness because that's your wife, okay? My wife's at home, and so we just have our first son, so I'm not even going
All
there.
right. Congratulations.
I'm not, right, exactly. But it's not any different than being on the road. I've done the Warped Tour a couple of years, so you don't sleep on that either.
Sure.
Been on a bus, thank God, though. The van would be awful.